Hasan Piker is a long-time Twitch streamer, sort of a big advocate of socialism, big advocate of change in America, and since October 7, also a big supporter of the Palestinian people. Um, and sort of, I think, most importantly, he's a giant terrorist supporter, terrorist sympathizer, and terrorist defender and apologizer. So today we'll go through some of his stuff that is honestly too much to even fit in, even in a whole week, sort of dedicated to Hassan Piker. But we'll try to go through some of his, let's say, more controversial things he said. Hopefully, we won't appear too crazy because at least I personally have been following him for a long time. So I have a long backlog of things I know about him. And sometimes there's just so many things you want to say when someone like some a person crazy like him is there that you yourself almost is crazy because you talk about the things he said and people don't even believe you because there's no person who would actually say things like that. I should also mention today's episode of the reality show is sponsored by Jim Brown's new book, A Black Hole in Economics, Money Creation and Its Consequences. All royalties from the book go to the support of Ayn Rand Centre UK. Putting the link in the description in the chat. There's also more in the description, and you'll hear a bit more from them in later in the show also. Joining me today is Alex. We should also have Mark joining us hopefully soon. But Alex, tell us your personal story when it comes to Hassan. How did you first hear about him?
I've known Hassan for quite a while, really I think it was back when he said something to the effect of American soldiers deserve to die, something like that. That was many, many years ago, and it was his uncle Cenk who brought him on for this sort of sit down, and he told him off for it. So imagine that. Imagine someone that unhinged, that crazy, that by comparison, Chink is like a very reasonable individual. He's a reason, and you mentioned a little bit about terrorist supporting, and yeah, I agree, right? He is, obviously a terrorist supporter, but how is he not financing terror? I mean, he mentions all the time about wanting to support the people in Yemen and support you know, and I guess we'll get into it a little bit more, but the I simply, there's free speech, which I obviously, agree with. And then I would say what Hassan is doing is more like, it's the equivalent of, I would say, like showing pornography to a 12-year-old, or, showing, very, very violent, disgusting, degrading, porn to a 7-year-old kid. He's talking to children about, and sanitizing the Houthis and sanitizing all of this very radical, very crazy stuff. And to me, that's not a he doesn't have the right to do that, I don't think. I don't think that that's I think that goes way beyond what one would expect for, like speech.
Yeah, I mean, just to put into context what you said earlier about the Hassan statement. So what he said was America deserved 9/11. That's what he
Mm,
was
yeah.
originally. I think that was one of the first things he got banned on Twitch. For those who don't know, Twitch is like a live streaming platform, mainly, or at least used to be mainly for gaming, but has sort of expanded into more areas and also politics or sort of this politics while playing games is also a big part of the Twitch. And Hassan is pretty much the pioneer of that right now, since any other large voices have been
Mm,
banned. So he's pretty much when people think of Twitch and politics, people think of Hasan Piker. So this is a representative of the sort of like the
Oh, that's
state.
depressing, Daniel. That's depressing. Oh my.
Uh,
Oh,
that's the representative of the state that's there right now. So let's go into some of his stuff, and I'm really looking at my things about what we should start with. Let's start with, let me just make sure I have this open. Let's start with, maybe how does his usual stream, look? Maybe, what does he
mhm.
do when he
Yeah,
live streams? Can you hear the sound?
I can.
Okay.
Sewing over war propaganda, man. Are you new? Oh, you are new here. You've only subscribed for 3 months. You know, I love this type of shit.
So, watching Houthi propaganda videos on your live stream, because that's what you normally do as a streamer, as you said, mostly for teenage boys, mostly for
Hmm.
young people. And,
Hmm.
first I wanted to sort of defend him because I watched his last live stream, not the whole thing, but I just clicked through it. And, that's obviously not, he doesn't do that all day. And I wanted to sort of defend him. But then at the end, he says, why are we watching, like, why are we, for those who don't know, he said sawing over, basically sort of like, why are we like glamoring over this? And he said, well, what do you mean? I love this stuff. So, I cannot even defend him. He loves watching terrorist propaganda videos. And when we go through when we go through some more of his stuff, we'll see it even more. So I don't know if you are much on Twitch, but maybe this isn't unique. Isn't, you just watch terrorist propaganda videos. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Yeah, well, I mean, you're not actually allowed to broadcast terrorist propaganda. I think that is one of the things that caused one of the original apocalypses on YouTube many, many years ago was because of ISIS videos. What can I say? I mean, the thing is that it's so pernicious because he's speaking to children. I think that that really is the issue at the core. Is that if he was just kind of him and his friends watching Houthi propaganda, yeah, I mean, it's you're crazy. Obviously, you guys should be in a padded room, but the fact that he's showing it to children is extremely distressing. And I would say also that most parents out there that if you give your 13-year-old you give your 13-year-old a laptop or whatever, and you think he's on Twitch watching people play games, right? Maybe, the worst thing that comes into your mind is like, he's looking at sexually explicit photos. But I mean, people do go off and join terrorist organizations. It's a very, very well-known phenomenon, and most of them do say that they were radicalized online. And it's so because children, you really can convince them of like absolutely anything. It's not hard. That's why, kids, join cults. That's why kids go to become ISIS brides, right? Because it's extremely easy. It's extremely easy to influence them.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to look up the name of the game I sent you recently. I think I have it here. So there's also this sort of speaking about basically this radicalizing. There's this game, I almost don't want to say it, but it's an official game on Steam. It's called Fursan Al-Aqsa, The Knights of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And in that game, you basically play as a terrorist and you kill Zionists. And
Mhm.
if you look into the reviews of the game, you have a lot of people, you could say joking, just role playing as terrorists. But again, where does this support for explicit terrorism for explicit terrorist group, this almost like a, I'm not sure if deification would be the right word, but this idealizing of terrorist organization. Where does this come from? Where do people get this sort of thing?
Altruism. No, I mean, it's to me, it feels like that. It feels to me like, look at these glorious people, these glorious martyrs. Look at how much they're willing to sacrifice themselves for the cause. I even hear that kind of repeated quite a few times as, if somebody goes and blows himself up in the middle of a crowded, a crowded market, there's always this kind of angle that altruists tend to take, and that's if, well, he must have really meant it, or he's doing it for his people, or he's doing it for the cause. So that's actually what I think is at the core of this.
Yeah, and
I mean, why not make
yeah.
why not make a piece of media about a Gazan going out there and making something of himself, becoming the best fisherman in the village, opening up a restaurant, opening up a hotel, having people come, being a productive member of society, or making a product that everybody wants to buy, right? And it's like, and I'm sure those stories do exist. But instead, all we ever see are these horrible stories of these martyrs, of these people who the greatest thing they can do is self-sacrifice.
Well, let's listen to a bit more of Hassan. This is from, as you can see, one of the presidential town hall meetings with Kamala Harris.
Democrat says she's undecided because of concerns about anti-Semitism. Beth?
Yes!
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Beth.
for remembering we need to bring the hostages home.
Of course.
The rise of anti-Semitism and violence from anti-Semitism has risen greatly on college campuses and on our city streets in the last year.
So yeah, there's a woman. She has it is really disgusting. I mean, like an actual woman unsure about voting for Democrats because she sees problems with anti-Semitism, and she thinks that sort of Democrats have either helped it or allowed it to happen. But she's split about it. She's scared about sort of, let's say, the more radical parts of the Democratic Party, people like from the squad, like Rashida Tlaib, sort of like actually being okay with Hamas, being okay with terrorism. She's worried about it. She's worried about anti-Semitism, which in all countries is on the rise, especially since October 7, when you have actual violence against Jews on the streets. And he laughs at her. He thinks it's funny. I mean,
it's totally disgusting. And it's almost like, I mean, it's the whole thing with them and Jews, right? It's this entire thing with the Jews can't be concerned about anti-Semitism because of the genocide, right, that's going on in Gaza, or that Jews can't be concerned about it because there's people in America that are hungry. And it's always this kind of idea, and also Hasan very many times himself goes, I'm not anti-Semitic. Jew hatred is very unacceptable. Well, okay, you have to change the definition of Jew hatred in order for you not to very comfortably fit within that category. So then
just to quickly jump in, I mean, imagine, after 9/11 happened, Arab Americans have experienced a lot of basically, if not straight up violence, a lot of sort of shady eyes, basically. And would he do the same thing? Would he like, oh, what do you mean? Like, well, brown people blew up the World Trade Center. What are you worried about? Like racism against Arabs? It's basically the same thing. I mean, it is exactly that. He's basically, that woman. I mean, she's she might be of the Democratic Party. She probably doesn't even fully, depending on where she is, she might not even fully support the Israeli war. She might want a ceasefire. She might want, a two-state solution. But she's a Jew, and she's
But
considered
that's not good enough for
anti-Semite.
him. That's not good enough for him. You know that, right? He doesn't care. He doesn't. His ideology is so far off the extreme that he views two-state solution, right, which we view as being disgusting, as being extremely, that's not acceptable. He's only satisfied if there is an Islamic dictatorship or, whatever, pan-Arab dictatorship in Israel, and the Jews will just have to deal with that. It's always to the most pure, right? You got to be pure. If you're going to be an Israeli, if you're going to be a Jew, you have to be completely suicidal, right? That's the only time you're going to be accepted.
Yeah, and I don't have a clip of this. Maybe I can find it later. But just to sort of I think I have to get a clip, or you like won't believe me. But sort of just to talk about his dishonesty. Did you know that basically one time someone brought up how bad the Arabic world is for the LGBT people, and he said, well, Iran has trans surgeries. You can get trans surgeries in Iran. And he just said it like that. And he left it at that, continued with his stream. And does anybody care to guess why Iran has trans surgeries? It's because if you're a member of the LGBT community, they'll force you to have a surgery where to
fix
they force
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually because back in the day, in the 1970s, it was the first Ayatollah who did end up meeting maybe a cross-dresser or somebody who'd had surgeries, and from then on, he was convinced, well, all gay people need to do this, right? That's fine, good, and it was just so it's from this place of deep hatred. Like he would consider somebody using like a nasty slur as being a massive, 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 just despicable stain on humanity. But, oh, are you gay? Oh, can I interest you in some surgeries that you don't actually want? Just because you're not acceptable to me, so please do that. I mean, no. No.
Yeah, maybe
it's not even evasion. It's like way more than evasion.
So you said he would have a problem with slurs, and again, I kind of seem like crazy. He actually, this is actually not crazy. You can look up this, but he was banned from Twitch for using a slur once, because he used the word cracker to describe white people, which is a slur for white people, and he actually is not afraid to use slurs if it's against the sort of what is viewed as like not oppressed people. So you can use slurs against white people, you can use slurs against certain kind of people, just not against certain other kinds of people. But going maybe just a little explanation for the next clip. We're gonna for those who know Ethan Klein, for example, he has I think he has like a really big podcast show. Ethan Klein and Hasan Piker did a podcast together called The Leftovers. I'm not sure for how long they did it, but after October 7th, Ethan Klein, I'm not sure if he is a Jew. I know his wife is a Jew and is serving in the IDF. He might be too. So they're basically your would you sort of like center left people. They are supporting, but Israelis, but they are they are Democrats. They are supporting sort of they are sort of on the left side of the political spectrum, but they're Jews, and they I think even when it comes to Israel, they still like support the two-state solution. They just don't think Israelis deserve to be killed for nothing. So let's listen a little bit from their shows, because after October 7th, it was getting a bit more spicy, let's say.
Tibet was literally a fucking feudal
slave mandate, like
So
autonomous zone.
China did them a favor.
That was one. I mean, in America, when I say something like this, people get very upset. You know, we talk about the Dalai Lama saying "suck my tongue" or whatever, but like that's not far from the norm in fucking normal Tibetan existence before the Communist Party came in and
So
took
China
over.
unilaterally took over Tibet.
Like
Well,
these are
their culture. They basically are trying to, homogenize the culture.
if your culture.
They're trying to spoil the religion and the identity.
The part of
they did them
feudal
a
warlords
favor.
and slavery, abolishing that. Yes, I do think that is good.
No, China did them a favor.
I think that yes, I will be on the record
Just
to
like
state
America did it.
that
Nah, I'm
while
not
the
gonna say
Chinese
it.
government
I'm not going to say it.
well, there is no equivalent in American intervention that you can point to in a similar capacity, unless you're talking about.
Okay, so
and I think this is a good way to describe Taiwan as well. The American federal government going into the fucking South and killing, unfortunately, not all of them, but a decent amount of slavers and defenders of slavery. This is violent retribution from a powerful federal government
Tibet was a separatist.
that squashed, okay?
Tibet is the South in the Civil War?
Yes. Tibet in the time frame where Chinese intervention happened would be the South. Yes,
So
they
what
were
was
doing slavery.
What was
they
the
were
moral
feudal.
aspect of the war of China?
The interests are obviously like national security or whatever the fuck they claim.
Okay, that wasn't the clip I actually wanted to play. That was for the later of the show when we would talk about the less Israeli stuff. So I'll go to you, Alex, because I need to find the original clip I wanted to claim. But even with this one, I mean, it's sort of like a similar thing. Like he in this clip, he justified like Chinese takeover of Tibet. Again, it's like it's only bad when the West does it. It's only bad when colonialism is only bad when the West does it. And it sort of shows that, and he was called out live on the podcast because he's like, do you understand what you're saying? You're like justifying.
Yeah, they had
something...
a bad culture. So yeah, of course because he supports the CCP. If you support the CCP, then not only that, but also Taiwan is evil. Why is Taiwan evil? Because Taiwan produces. Taiwan is actually a productive, a very, very, very productive country. An extremely, pro-capitalist, pro-freedom. They have some of the least restrictive business rules in the world. They're one of the most free economically. They're extremely proud of their democracy. They're extremely proud of all of this, and it's and of course Hasan thinks, well, okay, but you're going to be part of China. You're going to be part of the one party system, and yeah, I know that you guys really like to protest if there's something wrong. But yeah, you're going to go to jail for that from now on. But it'll all be okay because we'll be communists, and communism always produces. Just hasn't been done right. Every time communism or socialism has been done, it just hasn't been done right. But next time when we do it, when we take over Taiwan, it's going to be done perfectly, and it's just going to be great. And we'll all look and we'll all see, and we'll also pursue that ideal.
So joining us right now is Mark. Hey, Mark, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We sure can.
Awesome.
So
what are you talking about?
We've been talking about Hasan Piker.
Hasan Piker.
Let me just quickly cover some of the super chats. So first, thank you, Brian, again for becoming a member. It showed up on both shows, but memberships are appreciated. It keeps us going. We also have a super chat from Jonathan. Thank you so much. He says all-star panel today. Now it is with Mark joining.
I won't take that personally, Daniel. I won't take that personally at all.
Now it's even more all-star. We also have another super chat from Jonathan. Thank you so much. He says, being anti-Semitic is seen as alternative, independent, rebellious to young people. Fucking gross. I mean, it is, he sort of Hasan Piker sort of switches between, it's just jokes and he's serious. Like he oftentimes he tries to hide behind, which just, just goofing off, just, making fun. But it is very clear what he's saying. We also have a super chat from Uriel. Thank you so much. He says, what's with the Zabiba? I think if I understand what it means, I think I tried Googling it. It's some Islamic thing they get on
Zabiba
the,
is when you get, Zabiba.
no, it's a skin condition. Don't worry about that. By the way, Mark, we cannot
He's
see.
lying. He's lying. It's because he's been all day, every day, 5 times a day on the carpet.
I play both sides. I take
carpet.
money from Ayatollah and I take money from the Mossad. So I
Good.
always come out on top.
Mhm.
By the way, Mark, we still cannot see you. But before we continue, let me remind you again, today's episode of the reality show is sponsored by Jim Brown's new book, A Black Hole in Economics, Money Creation, and its Consequences. Let me just read you a little bit about it. How is money created? Who creates it? Where does it go? A century ago, John Maynard Keynes famously warned us that inflation sets in motion all the hidden forces of economic law on the side of destruction, and does it in a manner which not one man in a million is able to diagnose. Keynes believed that inflation was too complex for the average person to grasp. But this book aims to prove him wrong. A Black Hole in Economics unveils the hidden maneuvers of central banks and monetary authorities that systematically drain your wealth without your knowledge or consent. With this book, you'll become that one in a million who understands inflation and its profound effects on your life and wealth. Most importantly, you'll acquire the tools to protect and grow your wealth in a world of relentless inflation and financial repression. So I'm putting a link to that book in the chat again. And also all royalties go to the support of Ayn Rand Centre UK. We have a super chat from Jonathan. Thank you so much. Who says, I've read Jim's book. It's fascinating. So you have a lot. Sorry, Mark?
What's it called again?
A Black Hole in Economics, Money Creation, and its Consequences. And also for if our, I believe, Platinum members remember, we did a course on this. So if you want to know what this book was based on, we did a course and you can get access to that by becoming an Ayn Rand Centre UK member. But continuing with Hasan, since Mark is joining us today, did you know about Hasan before, and did you get a chance to check anything out?
Oh no, I feel like a boomer on this topic. So tell me more.
Well, let's watch the actual clip I wanted to show. Again, this is from The Leftovers, the podcast Hasan did with Ethan Klein.
Let's not obfuscate, okay? I understand what you're saying, but this dude just called babies militants.
No, I understand. And there are baby settlers as well. But there are baby settlers as well. There are babies in the settlements.
But the babies that killed were not.
I know.
Okay, so
here's now that we established that. Yeah. No, hold on. Now that we established that, the other school of thought here is that all matter of Israelis living on Israel proper are they're also doing the exact same thing in the eyes of some. I do not agree with that because I don't think that is a reasonable solution and it's not realistic.
Bro, I'm just calling it out.
Yeah, I mean, that first part was the main thing I wanted to show. There are babies in the settlement sort of applying. I mean, Mark, just from this little clip, what do you think about Hasan?
I didn't follow it. I didn't follow the reasoning. So am I missing some context?
Alex, do you want to tell us a bit more?
So basically, they were doing a live stream after October 7th, and they were discussing it. And, Hasan This is very, very soon after October 7th. And Hassan decides to basically justify killing civilians. And I think then Ethan said, well, hang on, children. And then he comes back and he goes, yeah, well, there are baby settlers, right? And as we all know, right, if you live in a settlement, then you deserve to die. So he was justifying killing them. And I just want to mention one particular baby settler. I want to mention Hadass Fogel. She was killed when she was 4 months old in her house in Itamar by a 17-year-old Palestinian terrorist who broke into the family home, killed the mother and father and 2 children lying in their beds with a knife. And as the terrorists were walking out, they heard a baby crying. So they came back and killed the baby. So that is a baby settler. And naturally, Hassan thinks that they're fair game.
Yeah, and just sort of the way they got to that argument is because when they were arguing over sort of like civilians or innocents dying on the Israel part, the big thing he always talks about is like, well, every Israeli is an IDF soldier because they served in the IDF at some point, because there is a compulsory service in Israel that basically makes everybody a fair target, according to him. Mark, any thoughts?
This is so tiresome. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think the Palestinians can make any kind of claim that attacking anybody is justified. Their entire narrative is phony, and their entire ideological orientation is oriented towards violence and the annihilation of an entire people. So as far as I'm concerned, they can make no claims whatsoever on anyone or anything. Now, if we're talking about the reverse situation where civilians are dying in the case of Israel attempting to defend itself, it's an entirely different moral context that can't be applied to the Palestinian cause.
So let's listen from Hasan a bit more. For those who don't know, he also calls himself a big investigative journalist. He gets in touch with people from oftentimes war zones, and he debates interviews. So let's just take a quick peek at one of his interviews. I got this from Fox News, who have recently actually written about Hasan Piker.
Do you know what One Piece is?
أول شيء بقول لك إنه ممكن هذا السؤال يكون شوي أهبل، بس بسألك تعرف شو هو One Piece؟ عمرك سمعت ب One Piece؟
أكيد يعني منذ الطفولة وأنا أشاهد ون بيس لوفي.
Lofi?
Yeah, he said he's been watching it since he was a kid.
No way!
Yeah.
That's sick. Yes. That's fire. That's so fire. Oh my God. We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that. He is. They do musicals about like their...
So he's just having a fun interview with a young kid talking about One Piece. For those who don't know, One Piece is one of the biggest animes out there. Hasan has recently, or sort of for some time, been sort of watching it on live stream, so it was a big part of his personality. And he asked, "Oh, do you know this?" And when he said yes, he's like, "Oh, I think you guys are like or the Houthis are like One Piece." For those who don't know, One Piece is about a group of pirates, basically sort of fighting injustice, I think you could say, around the world. And Houthis are just like that. And who was that kid? Alex, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that kid is a 19-year-old Houthi terrorist, Houthi pirate. And at some point as well, Hasan shows a video, and it says that, or I think maybe was in this interview where he's actually talking about the Houthi pirate is talking about the hostages, as in the hostages that have been taken by the Houthis. And, you know, the Houthi pirate is kind of just saying, oh, we were just chilling and vibing. And, you know, these are hostages I think they've had for like nearly a year, haven't seen their family, you know, and, you know, even Hasan has been going on and saying that how great it is. You know, he's been trying to get more people into the Houthi pirates. And he ended up showing it to his friend, and he said, "Isn't this so cool? Look at what they're doing. They just go and they stop ships on the way to Israel, you know, to stop them from being, you know, resupplied, rearmed,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
just no
let's
concern
actually
over the." Yeah,
let's watch
sorry.
that part a little bit, just so people know what we're talking about.
Like their actions all the time, and they love walking over. They love walking over like the American flag and the Israeli flag side by side. They will always like march on it. I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. He's saying they do not care about the heavy missiles. Like they will literally take the war to them no matter what.
So yeah, the other person on the live stream, his name is Nick. He's basically like a normal person. He knows nothing about politics. He doesn't talk about politics on his live stream. He doesn't, you know, I don't want to like sound mean to him because he's pretty cool, but he doesn't really know about much about politics. He doesn't care. That's not what his live streams are about. Now imagine sort of like dragging your friend and showing him a terrorist propaganda. By the way, showing terrorist propaganda on Twitch is like a bannable offense, and sort of like promoting it and sort of agreeing with it, especially, should get you banned. So this is also like ban baiting. Like he's almost putting us in a position where he'll be put, he have to ban. But Mark, anything you'd like to say on this? I mean, this guy is like like interviewing Houthi terrorists. He's praising them. He's showing them to his friends, talking about, well, isn't this great? Isn't this really cool? Mark?
I mean, he's a twit. You hear me? Can you see me okay?
Yeah, you're cutting off a little bit.
Yeah, something's up with my internet. He's a twit. I just wonder why we're even having a conversation about this guy, because he's so self-evidently stupid. Why do we have to talk about this person? Is he an actual influencer? Is this level of stupid?
Very much so.
Yeah,
he's the number one. He's the number one creator on Twitch. So he has like hundreds of thousands of teenagers watching him every night. So I agree with you. This is asinine. He is asinine completely and crazy. But I mean, quite literally, this is what is passing nowadays for political discourse for teenagers.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, just quickly a little bit more. So I believe he's not the biggest anymore. I'm not sure if he ever was. But when it comes to specifically sort of the politics culture of Twitch, he is the guy. He's the only one to sort of, everybody else has been pretty much banned. When you say Twitch and politics, this is the person.
Why hasn't he been banned? If everybody else has been banned, why is a guy who seems to be promoting terrorism and terrorists across the world, why is he not booted off this platform?
Well, funny you would ask that. So the Twitch current CEO right now, Dan Clancy, is a big fan of Hasan, and it is very, I think it's very clear that the only reason why he hasn't been, because as you said, this is like straight up like propaganda for terrorism, as well as many other bannable offenses. The only reason he hasn't been is because he is so influential when it comes to sort of the staff of Twitch and the management team at Twitch. So yeah,
that's a great argument for boycotting Twitch or making some kind of movement for a regime change over there.
Well, funny you should say also that. So people can go to the website danclancysucks.com, which is a pretty good start to go into this. There is an active sort of campaign against Twitch right now, or specifically against the Twitch's CEO right now. Basically, from my understanding at least, the advertisement for Twitch has been targeted heavily. Basically, advertisers, well, Twitch hasn't said anything about it. Some people from Twitch have spoke out and said that they are receiving like 1/10 of the advertisers they normally do. So there is action against it, and I think there really needs to be, obviously the standard spiel. Twitch is a private platform; they can do whatever they want. Although actively sort of advocating for terrorism might, well, on the
security at this point, don't you think? It's now become public. It's advocacy for Houthis and Palestinian terror groups. I mean, that's crossing the line as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's even more insidious because it's to children, right? So it's actually to people who are not capable of making discernible choices that are going to be extremely attracted to hearing about an entertaining, young, good-looking man who is just kind of, he's a rebel against the system, and he's making these points that are, I mean, really stupid, but saying it in a relatively well articulated way, rehearsed, obviously, and children are obviously like getting something out of it. People watch this lunatic for hours and hours and hours a day. I would actually rather watch an ISIS beheading video.
Yeah, I thought Twitch was a gaming streaming service where people gamed publicly. It's now evolved into a podcast type of.
So maybe just a little bit about that. Twitch originally has been made sort of for gaming or with the gaming focus, but in the recent years, I mean, for some time right now, there were sort of I guess two sort of separate things. The idea of like talking politics while gaming has increasingly became more and more popular. If you ask Hasan, he'll say, he was the one who came up with that idea. Do with that what you want. So he has become sort of the face of politics and Twitch. But also there was also a different part that I think specifically with Twitch, the idea of sort of doing IRL streams, basically sort of like just going out, doing like real life stuff. So for some time it hasn't been a gaming like only platform. I think the sort of in real life stuff has been a big part of it. This sort of like a culture, like a community culture, has been a big part. So that's why also many people right now are sort of like, are like avoiding talking about sort of politics and talking about acknowledging what like Hasan has been doing. It's interesting stuff. For those who want to learn a bit more about it, we've talked about this earlier, I think last month. I'll give you the exact title for the show we talked about in a bit. But before that, let's listen a bit more from Hasan. What does he think maybe about certain things that happened on October 7th?
Oh, I wonder.
My analysis, even if there was multiple rapes that took place on October 7, this does not change anything for me in this dynamic. What rapes did Hezbollah do? Bro, what rapes did fucking Hamas do? What are you talking about? Oh yeah, the Stop Anti-Semitism account that considered me to be anti-Semite of the week has also been hallucinating rapes once again, doing rape fantasies once again, because they're fucking mentally ill.
Hamas has committed horrific acts of sexual violence and took
women and girls, men and boys slaughtered after enduring sexual violence. The deadliest day for the Jewish people.
Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend.
Like the fucking Israeli government is if their kid dies, it is almost 100% a direct consequence of the Israeli government blowing him to fucking bits for the crime of being captured and being in the vicinity of Palestinians.
So, whenever the rapes that happened on October 7 are brought up to him, he always looks like that's the first time he heard about it. Like, what? No, that's not the Hamas I know. That they would never do that. I mean, it pretty much wraps out to what the whole time we've been talking about it. This is not even some you have disagreements about what should be the proper Israeli policy or how should a two-state solution look like. This is straight up propaganda. This is straight up recreating reality, denying reality in certain ways, adapting it in any way you can to put forward your ideology, to put forward your basically your propaganda, your support for a terrorist organization. I mean, Mark, what do you think about this? I mean, you haven't seen much from him, but I'm sure you are starting to get an impression.
Well, the impression isn't as very different from every other pro-Hamas supporter I see out there. They live in an alternate universe. They don't care about facts. I mean, you're talking about a group of people who buy into pretty much every conspiracy theory that puts Jews at the forefront of even the murder of John F. Kennedy. And let's not forget how the Mossad engineered 9/11. I mean, these people are willing to believe anything to justify their anti-Semitism. And they don't care about paradoxes, and they don't care about inconsistencies in their reasoning. All they care about is beating the Jews, and they'll do it by whatever means necessary. So, look, the guy, just in the few minutes I've been exposed to him, he's not a rebel. He's a total conformist with every single one of the Hamas talking points he buys into and promotes. He's a total anti-intellectual. I mean, this guy should be easily defeatable. I don't know why he's not called out and defeated by the Douglas Murrays of the world, who would put this guy in his place instantaneously.
Well, he doesn't debate, so that's probably the most important part. He hasn't engaged in any real, as if any pushback that will be against him. He has had a few appearances on Piers Morgan, which I think are very amusing and might be interesting to go through at some point, where he has been put against the worst type of Israeli supporters you could even find, like really, like, you couldn't make it more of a sort of like softball debate. But even there, he struggled to sort of keep on the appearances. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah,
about
well, he's the kind of guy who thinks because he's part of the very, very woke crowd, probably identifies himself as a feminist. He is so here you have. Okay, in terms of the rapes and sexual violence, you could maybe evade the truth by not looking at the pictures that are out there, open source pictures, and you can maybe evade the truth, right? But on the one hand, he would definitely be the kind of feminist, right, who would say, believe all women, while not believing Amit Susanna, who was released from captivity and said that she was sexually preyed upon. She was raped by her captor, and she said it with actual plain words, right? Plain words at the UN, plain words for the New York Times, plain words. Okay, so here you're saying, I believe all of the women in the world, but not that one. Not that one, because it contradicts my notion of reality.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, there's a lot. There's just too many things to go through to even sort of make a comprehensive view of him. But I have a few also non-Israeli topics. If you guys think, maybe he's just sort of quirky on the Israeli issue, but he's more reasonable when it comes to, I don't know, what is his stance on maybe, oh, well.
Well, I thought, really, Daniel, because he was very, very dismissive about the whole idea about taking hostages and exactly, wanting to sanitize exactly what Hamas did in terms of hostages and what that kind of looked like. Almost like he's describing, not that it's not traumatic, but if you were to get held up at a bank and get taken, into the room, into the safe with the bank robber, that kind of, hostage situation. And it was not like that. It was I don't know if you want to show the video, because I thought it was a good one that I sent over. It was a terrifying, violent, scary ordeal that, it's very, very difficult for anybody to justify it. And then again, he said just in the last video, that the crime that he committed, the crime that the hostage committed, was being close to a Palestinian. That was what he did.
Yeah, I'll put the video in the chat and description for those people who want to watch it. It's from the website. What is the actual name of the website? HamasMassacre.net. I think we've talked about them in the past. We've talked about the collection of those videos. It's really it's really disturbing to go through it. Like, everything was recorded, like what Hamas did was recorded, and the fact that something like that is it's something you can easily find, it's something you can easily watch, yet many people either evade the fact that it happened, or even worse, know that it happened and just don't care, or just are justifying it in any way. But as I've said, let's watch at least one of his non-Israel clips. How does Hasan feel about, I don't know, maybe landlords?
It's hurt poor people that they can afford housing in Berkeley. I don't know how that works.
My understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers in a video game. Sorry. Holy shit. Murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude. Oh my god, in a video game, of course.
NFL
Holy shit. Holy fucking shit, dude. Sorry. I meant in a video game.
It's all just funny, He's just making a joke. He's just, joking about killing people, killing property owners, killing people who own apartments or who own houses.
Look, the punchline finally came out. I mean, it's always the same with these jerk-offs. In the end, they're anti-capitalists. They're authoritarian little bitches. And they, like every other socialist out there, want something for nothing, and they resent the reality that you have to work in order to live, and they can't wrap their minds around the concept of renting or the owner class. It's a little bit too complex an economic and moral phenomenon for them to grasp, so they just want to annihilate it. This always seems to be the case with all these supporters here in America. If every time I see one of these douchebags talking on social media, I say to myself, got to be a socialist or a commie. And of course, I look in their profile, and there it is, proudly proclaiming their socialism or communism, or worse, they call themselves human rights activists every fucking time.
Alex?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that he says that he's a communist and a socialist, because I don't really think he is. I think that he is very, very, very much a capitalist who is making millions and millions and millions of dollars teaching terrorist propaganda to children. He lives in a very nice big mansion in Los Angeles, and I don't grudge him for that 1 second. I'm very happy. Well, I don't know for him. everybody else, I'm very happy for you if you have a nice, lovely property. But it's almost this kind of thing. Well, I have to get by in this sick capitalist world, but once we have the revolution, I promise I'll give all my money away. We just need to have the revolution first, which I'm totally for because I'm a great socialist. But we're not there yet. So I'm just, the dirty money is just going to have to sit in my account, and I'll have to live in this disgusting mansion.
Come on, Alex. From what I understand, he needed somewhere to house his mother, so he had to buy
I didn't
$5
know
million
that.
Beverly Hills house.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That changes everything. That changes everything.
Yeah, it's always the guys who are the worst because they make a lot of money. Of course, he makes it not producing very little value at all, as far as
no value.
And so he feels guilty about it, and to assuage that guilt, he goes on these maniacal, narcissistic rants to make him seem down with the people. He's not down with the people. He's a limousine leftist. He revels in dough, and he's projecting his own moral corruption onto a capitalist society, just like they all do. This guy is like a standard DSM-3 frickin' narcissistic prick, and in a just society he would be not wealthy at all. But people are buying what he's selling, so until they're not, we have to I guess fight this guy in this way.
Well, to sort of spend 10 seconds defending him, he is pretty funny. He is in many times pretty entertaining. It's just that a lot of it is spent justifying terrorism, defending it, advocating for it, as well as all his ideas are really bad. Just to maybe sort of put even example of him being funny, if you look up his debate with Andrew Tate, that was pretty entertaining thing to watch, because Andrew Tate is even worse he has even lower self-esteem than Hasan Piker, surprisingly. So well, maybe not that surprisingly. So it was a pretty entertaining watch. But there's many things we didn't talk about. When he saw the Amsterdam violence against Jews, he said that's funny. He said the Russian annexation of Crimea was a good thing. He constantly, before the invasion of Ukraine happened, he was making fun of it. He said it will never happen. And after that, he was pretty much defending Russia in every chance he could get. He constantly uses slurs against Jews and white people, because you can use it against non-oppressed people, whatever that means. And there's more, but we have to finish at some point. So I hope we provided at least some of the picture about, at least a decent picture, decent as a comprehensive, not a nice picture of basically who Hasan Piker is. As we said, the reason why we talk about people like this is these people have influence. These people, they wouldn't be where they were if the culture was healthy, if the culture was standing up for good thing. So it's important to talk about even creatures like him. Alex, thank you, and Mark, thank you for joining me today. Alex, where can people find you?
Yeah, I would just actually say as well, I think it very much does speak to the power of ideas. I mean, Hasan's ideas are just objectively horrendous. They're also unintelligent, so they should be very easy for anybody else to come out there and actually defeat. You just have to have the correct moral framework in order to be able to do that. And for that kind of moral framework, I want to recommend actually Jonathan's book, A New Textbook of Americanism. And also I want to recommend today the IDSF and the Alma Center.
And Mark, any last thoughts, and where can people find you?
Yeah, I think it's important to fight these guys as well, even though I said, why are we giving this guy airtime? I mean, I constantly try to come out against these people as often as possible because we are in a war of ideas. You can get a hold of me if you want crazy political discourse at Mark R Pellegrino on Twitter X, and you'll see some pretty well, insane. I don't mean insane as in irrational. I mean just it's the Wild West on my Twitter site. So if you want to join in the melee, please do, provided you're on my side, that is. You can find a more mellow feed on Mark Ross Pelly on Instagram, and also AmericanCapitalistParty.org. Sign up, donate, register, become a member. We're starting to field candidates out there, and I'd like all of the objectivists who are listening, and even some people who are thinking about becoming objectivists, to join in on a historical movement. Get in on the ground floor, and let's get this thing rolling.
And you can find me on my YouTube channel, Damned Dan. Just quickly, someone said, what was this comment? Something about does he basically receive Russian money? My understanding is no, he's just that despicable. He is doing this for free. From what I understand, he is like doing Russian propaganda and terrorist propaganda for free, because he really believes in the cause. At least we can definitely
or pretends to.
Well, yeah, we can give him that. Let me mention again, today's episode of The Reality Show is sponsored by Jim Brown's new book, A Black Hole in Economics, Money Creation and Its Consequences. Also, all royalties from the book will go towards the support of Ayn Rand Centre UK. So if you wish to support Ayn Rand Centre UK while also getting some really good book in return, make sure to follow the link in the description and also in the chat right now. We also have a super chat from Alex. Thank you so much. She says, I will answer your questions via the super chats. So thank you, Alex, for that, whoever you are. Thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of The Daily Objective and The Reality Show. Bye-bye.